you know about the Serbian dancing lady, right? She's been spotted dancing on the streets late at night, and if you go near her, she'll attack you. Well, she's not the only one anymore. There's a bunch of them. And they attack. Watch this. This is probably the creepiest trend ever. Like, what would you do if you actually saw one of these things in real life?
People who got exposed on live TV, Part 4. This woman was hired to translate a speech into sign language at a police news conference in 2017. Everything seemed fine and normal until people at home realized she was faking it. It turned out she didn't know any sign language and she was just throwing up random hand signs, so she was obviously fired. This man's name is Charles Ingram, and in 2011 he competed in the famous game show Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. Amazingly, he got every single answer correct and was awarded the $1 million prize. But when the producers carefully reviewed the footage, everything changed for Charles. The producers realized that Charles would say every answer out loud, and when he said the correct one, his friend and his wife Diana, who were in the crowd, would cough extremely loudly to signal that he was right. Take a look.
Craig David. No, I got Craig David. Yeah.
Now, once they were exposed for cheating, they were forced to give the $1 million back. And they were even both sentenced to 18 months in prison. And on America's Got Talent, this magician tried to perform a trick where he would pull his assistant's body to the side. But while doing this, the cloth over her body fell, which revealed the trick was actually fake.
This 16-year-old was sentenced to 50 years in prison, and you won't believe what he did. In 2022, Noah Ney shot a 5-year-old girl in the neck and shoulder in Oklahoma. This teen, who I swear looks like a 9-year-old, was riding in a stolen car and purposely shot inside a home where the little girl was playing. But again, this was no accident. No one did this for a gang initiation. Luckily, the little girl survived, but had the bullet hit a spot an inch away, she would have definitely died. Noah was arrested, but not long after, he escaped the juvenile detention center by jumping a fence. He was found 4 days later, but when he was put back into the detention center, he repeatedly assaulted staff. Noah was sentenced as an adult, but the judge said that in 2028, his sentence can be reduced if he's proved that he's changed.
Groth, the Nemesis star. Groth is an outer god in a form of a living planet with a single gigantic red eye, which it is capable of closing to avoid detection by any nearby hostile entities. Groth is often referred to as the Harbinger, or the Nemesis star. The Nemesis star is an unidentified celestial body with an unknown orbit that has indirectly caused 5 mass extinctions in history since before humanity existed, including the KT event which ended the reign of the dinosaurs. Due to Groth's extreme gravitational influence, affected asteroids will form comet showers, leading to extinction-level events. There is very little information about this planet in human historical records, although it is often vaguely mentioned in ancient texts of many different cultures, from sightings of it in European skies at the time of the Black Death pandemic, to another strange black star appearing in Aztec records mentioned as the emergence of the god of destruction, Tezcatlipoca. Groth emits a special frequency known as the music of the spheres, which can awake fearsome races, or even old gods slumbering on planets, thereby bringing destruction and annihilation for the civilization and life of the planet they reside.
The worst ways that people have died, Part 1. In 2009, spelunker John Jones was caving with some friends and family in the Nutty Putty Cave in Utah. About an hour into the expedition, John decided to find the route known as the Birth Canal, a notoriously narrow passage that spelunkers must crawl through carefully if they dare. After finding what he thought was the birth canal, he crawled in head first and started inching his way forward. But John would soon realize that this wasn't the birth canal, since it was clearly way tighter than anything safe to crawl through. The problem was, by this point, he didn't even have enough space to wiggle back out the way he came. So his only option was to continue pushing forward. 4 hours later, John's brother had located him and returned with men and supplies to help get him out. But over the next 27 hours, rescuers desperately failed to pull John out of the crevice. And at some point, he likely died from cardiac arrest due to being unable to breathe. John's body was never retrieved, and the cave has since been sealed off forever.
that's not a really reasonable theory because it doesn't account for the fact that the police were able to identify every single person that was on camera leaving the bar. There's nobody that was unaccounted for. And there was a back exit to the bar that Schaefer could have potentially left through, but the rear exit of the Ugly Tuna led to an extensive construction site, which police speculated that it could have been confusing for him to navigate if he were intoxicated, which his friends reported that they had all drank pretty heavily that night. And the construction site that he could have went through also had security cameras, and there wasn't a single sign of Schaefer making his way through that area at all that night. And there was also street footage from the surrounding bars, and he was never seen on any of those cameras either. His family repeatedly stated that there was no reason for him to try to disappear, as he seemed very happy, he was in a very good relationship with his girlfriend, and he was excelling in med school. And after that night, his phone and credit cards were never used again. Supposed last person to see him, Florence, who was his friend, is the only person who refused to take a lie detector test for whatever reason, but he was never actually pursued as a suspect because they saw him leaving the bar. You know, what would he have done in the bar that people wouldn't have found? But it is weird that he refused to take a lie detector test. Last potential trace of him occurred when his girlfriend after this would call his cell phone every single night hoping Brian would pick up the phone. Each night his phone went directly to voicemail because it was shut off. And she did this every night for 6 months until a Friday night in September of 2006 when Schaefer's phone finally rang. She said it scared the crap out of me. Schaefer's phone rang a total of 3 times before going silent, but it was determined to be a technical glitch, and that was the last potential trace of Brian Schaefer.
Breaking news, Matthew Perry's autopsy has been completed. The Los Angeles County coroner has listed his cause of death as deferred. This is because they are going to wait until toxicology results come back before they determine a cause of death. The coroner also stated it could take months to get the toxicology results. As of Sunday afternoon, they have released his body back to his family. I'll keep you guys updated. What do you think? Drop in the comments.
What is Nyarlathotep? Nyarlathotep is often described as a shape-shifting, enigmatic being who serves as a messenger or herald of the outer gods and great old ones. Unlike many other Lovecraftian entities, Nyarlathotep is unique because he often takes on various forms and interacts directly with humans in order to manipulate and drive them to madness. Nyarlathotep's origins are shrouded in mystery. He is often depicted as one of the outer gods, a group of cosmic entities that exist beyond the comprehension of humanity. However, unlike the more passive and indifferent outer gods, Nyarlathotep is active in the affairs of humans and the physical world. He is known for having a myriad of forms, each more bizarre and unsettling than the last. He can appear as a tall, dark man in a black robe, a writhing mass of tentacles, a monstrous creature, or even something as ordinary as a charismatic human being. This ability to assume various forms allows him to interact with humanity in different ways, and sow chaos and madness. He could present himself as a charismatic figure, drawing humans into his web of madness. Nyarlathotep's primary role seems to be that of an agent of chaos. He revels in spreading madness, fear, and despair among humans. His actions often result in the destruction of sanity and civilization. While Nyarlathotep is not as all-powerful as some other Lovecraftian entities like Azathoth or Yog-Sothoth, he is still a significant and influential being in the Cthulhu mythos. His actions and influence are felt throughout Lovecraft's stories, as he plays a central role or manipulate them from behind the scene.
There's a theory Bob Ross paints the landscapes and paints the areas of places where he hid bodies.
A what?
Yeah.
Nah.
So take this in. So I'm going to show you a picture. This is one of his most famous paintings ever.
Yeah, and Bob Ross is like super innocent too.
Yeah.
He looks super innocent.
This painting, it's called Happy Little Accidents, right?
Yeah.
Now, this painting is an exact comparison to this real life place with this tree.
Okay.
And at this location, they found 5 dead women, half eaten alive.
Half eaten?
And buried under the tree.
Where is this?
I think this is in the States somewhere.
Who would eat bodies though?
I don't know. But keep in mind the title, Happy Little Accidents. So
Happy
Bob Ross painted it
Okay.
and titled it Happy Little Accidents. Why is that such a sus name? You know what I mean?
Yeah. So what are his other paintings like? Also like,
Oh, there's
murder.
There's another one that's
Murder
like
on my
betrayal and grief.
Oh,
there's different titles.
Yeah.
But the theory goes that every single painting that he's done
Yeah.
is a clue, or at least even the exact location of where he hid these bodies that he's killed.
This is the Wagner execution, one of the most controversial execution videos explained. The video that I'm about to explain was uploaded on Telegram and it went pretty viral. It begins by showing the victim in a dark room with his head taped to concrete blocks on the wall. Behind him, a man holding a sledgehammer and wearing camouflage clothes can be seen. Dimitri, who is the victim, then says, "I went to the front part of the Wagner group, but while I was on the front line, I realized this isn't my war. Today, I was on the streets of Dnipro where I was then hit in the head and lost consciousness. And when I woke up, I was in this room where they told me I would be put on trial." After he reads this statement, his head, which is taped to the concrete blocks on the wall, is hit extremely hard by the man with the sledgehammer in the side of his head, which crushes his head completely and causes his body to fall back on his back. The killer then continues to smash into the face of Dimitri over and over. But the weird part about this video, and what makes it extremely controversial, is that a second video was posted of Dimitri claiming that the Wagner group spared his life. He said, in Wagner, everyone has the right to correct his mistake. When I got to captivity, I told a lot of stuff, but I'm still ashamed. But it was my only option to stay alive. When I got back from captivity, I brought back valuable intel which saved many lives of our boys, and for that reason I have been forgiven. This has mostly everybody doubting the authenticity of the video, and many people think it's just an attempt to troll the Wagner group, and others suggesting the video might just be completely staged. But whatever the truth is, I doubt we will ever find out. It's just weird that the man that was executed on video was then seen in another video saying that his life was spared. I don't know, it's just odd, but nonetheless, this video is still extremely brutal and graphic, and I don't recommend searching for it.
Was this the first musician to sell their soul?
Do you know who Robert Johnson is?
No.
It's so freaky, his story.
Okay.
So this was early 1900s. He had a terrible home life. Very poor. His dad died. His stepdad was abusive. But he was obsessed with music. All he wanted to do was play the guitar. And he would travel around and play the guitar. And he was terrible. He would go into these clubs, go up on stage and start playing. The people were like, "Can you get this guy off the stage? He's terrible."
Yeah.
The story goes, Robert Johnson's carrying his guitar. He was walking on and he hit this crossroad. And it was midnight, and a man came out, and he said it was the devil.
"Do you want to be the best in the world?"
And Robert Johnson's like, yes. So the devil took the guitar, tuned it, played a song, gave it back, and he says, "You won't have this forever. Like, you will lose something."
Yeah.
And then he came back, and they said that he was one of the best guitar players in the world. And then, right at the brink of becoming like the most famous person, someone poisoned him, and he died at the age of 27.
By the way, this video is scripted and for entertainment purposes only. Stay weird.
Did you ever hear of that psychic who predicted Russia building a submarine?
What do you mean?
This happened on the Sean Ryan show. He had a guy on, and he was telling this story where the CIA, they literally had psychics on staff. U.S. intelligence, they collected this satellite footage of this really strange giant building that they were building in this remote part of Russia. They brought it to this guy, gave him the coordinates. Like, can you like get anything from that? And he's like, I see that they're like building something big. And they gave him the picture, like, that's what they're building. Do you know what it's for? And was like, they're building a submarine. And they're like, can you describe it? And he said, it will be the biggest submarine ever created. And so they wrote out the full report and they gave it to like the defense secretary, whatever. The guy's like, a psychic wrote this stuff down? And he's like, yeah. And he wrote up at the top, or you're a lunatic, and like gave it back to him. They're not anywhere near an ocean or a river or anything. But then they did new satellite photos. They dug a new river, and it was in fact a new submarine. They said it was 2 football fields long.
Oh my gosh.
The biggest submarine ever created. The guy wrote back, he's like, who's the lunatic now?
Scientists captured the Goat Man and tried to keep it a secret. Just a week ago, an explorer found something the world will never forget. Conroy McGregor was an urban explorer from Bowie, Maryland. He had heard about an old psychiatric hospital that was closed down in 1960 and decided to go find it. What he would uncover that day, he'll never forget. The hospital was deep in the forest, and Conroy trekked for over an hour from his car before reaching the perimeter fence. He quickly climbed over the fence and continued towards the abandoned building. As he neared the entrance, worn-out signs clearly warned of danger. suggesting something ominous inside. He ignored them and continued through the front door of the facility. He searched through the first floor of the building until he reached the stairs to the basement. Conroy ventured deeper into the facility, not knowing the sinister truth that awaited him. Suddenly, the sound of massive chains and heavy breathing echoed through the underground chamber. When he pointed his flashlight to a dark corner, the legendary Goatman chained to the wall was staring straight into Conroy's soul. He quickly ran out of the building and didn't stop until he reached his car. He uploaded his GoPro footage just a day ago. If you want to see the footage, press this icon at the bottom, then more, and photos.
This TikToker who was a drug queen was just brutally executed in broad daylight. This is Sabrina Duran, who is a notorious drug dealer, narco queen, and TikTok influencer. Earlier this week, she was ambushed by a group of individuals who were covering their face, where they shot her multiple times, leaving her for dead, and then took her car. This is definitely cartel violence, and her death was a repercussion of something that we would probably never know. Sabrina was also released from prison about a month ago, having served a portion of her sentence involving a drug trafficking charge. And I'm guessing she either talked to somebody on the inside or they just didn't trust her anymore. The video of her being executed in broad daylight is going viral, and I'm about to explain it. It opens up with her already laying in the middle of the street, having been shot a couple times, and one of the men is grabbing her things out of her pockets. As he gets back in the car, you see Sabrina moving around like some sort of doll. It seems she can't move some parts of her body because she just got shot, and she's struggling to get up and make contact with these men. This goes on for a couple more seconds, and then the men in the car go in front of her and park it, and one of the men then gets out of the car and shoots Sabrina multiple more times, killing her on the spot. They then get back in the car and just leave her dead body in the middle of the street. This video is absolutely sickening, and I'm just waiting for more information to come out about it because it just happened. Whatever you do, don't go searching for the video because it is pretty disturbing, and hopefully within the next couple days there's more information I could cover and make another video about this.
This is the most obvious Illuminati performance I've ever seen.
I've never seen so much dark symbolism during a Super Bowl in my entire life. Rihanna throws on a bright red dress and just throws up the Illuminati sign in front of everyone. I mean, the platform she was on was literally shaped as a triangle as well. They all wear and do the same thing. Sam Smith and The Weeknd with some of the most satanic performances ever. Lizzo with a literal 6 on her head. Doja Cat and all these other artists.
Do you guys get it yet? And what the heck was this? There's absolutely no way she just sniffed her finger after this.
I break down the whole thing on YouTube, but let's get into some other things that didn't sit right with me at the Super Bowl. Damar Hamlin, after the whole world prays for you, you come out with a blasphemous jacket making Jesus Christ on the cross looking like a clown or a zombie? I mean, just read what it says in the front of the jacket. I mean, even AP called it blasphemous. And he's throwing up the 6s with LeBron, and he's getting new tattoos on his hand. I seen Travis Scott wearing the same thing on a chain, and don't you dare call that art. Uzi at the Super Bowl doing the same thing. All of them just making fun of Jesus. Riri, you ain't off the hook either, pulling up in an upside down cross saying control minds.
And don't even get me started with the commercials. This was the worst part of it all.
By the way, this video is scripted and for entertainment purposes only. Stay weird.
Ancient Discoveries, Part 5. In 2003, a 500-year-old skeleton measuring 6 inches long was found in Chile's Atacama Desert. Due to its elongated skull and rather developed bones considering its size, the specimen was initially rumored to be an alien. But after extensive testing, scientists determined that it was more likely the skeleton of a stillborn human girl that had close to 70 different genetic mutations. A 2,000-year-old loaf of bread made just before the eruption of Pompeii was discovered in 2018. It still has an ancient Roman bread stamp impressed on it, which bakeries were required to do to prevent fraud. This 6-foot-long monster megalodon tooth was found off the coast of North Carolina. The North Carolina coast happens to be a known hotspot for prehistoric tooth findings. Archaeologists have rediscovered the ancient Egyptian city of Thanis after it was lost to a flood over 1,000 years ago. Much of it remains to be discovered as divers are still finding new treasures from its ruins each year.
This is undoubtedly the most horrifying execution method in human history. The Pear of Anguish. At first sight, it looks like an innocent, oversized metal pear, but upon closer inspection, its malevolent purpose becomes evident. The pear could be expanded by turning a screw, and as it opened, the segments would spread apart. This contraption was forcibly inserted into one of the victim's orifices, usually the mouth for blasphemers, the anus for homosexuals, or the cooch for women accused of adultery or witchcraft. Once inside, the torturer would slowly turn the screw, causing the pear to expand and painfully stretch the cavity. The internal damage could be severe, often leading to long-term complications or even death. Beyond the physical torment, the pear of anguish was a tool of psychological warfare. The very threat of its use could break the will of prisoners, forcing confessions or compliance. In a dark period marked by brutality, the pear of anguish stands as a symbol of the perverse creativity humans can display when aiming to harm their fellow beings. 10 most haunted roads in the USA that will chill your spine. First, Clinton Road, New Jersey, infamous for ghostly apparitions and phantom trucks. Next, Boot Hill Graveyard in Tombstone, Arizona, where spectral figures wander eternally. Archer Avenue, Chicago, Illinois, home to the ghostly figure of Resurrection Mary. Route 44, Rehoboth, Massachusetts, known for its mysterious red-headed hitchhiker. Dead Man's Curve, Claremont County, Ohio, a site of twisted wreckage and haunting accidents. Ortega Highway, Riverside County, California, with its evil animals and breathtaking views. Bloods Point Road, Cherry Valley, Illinois, terrorized by phantom vehicles and hellhounds. Mount Misery Road, Huntington, New York, renowned for alleged demonic activities and a lady in white. Shades of Death Road, Warren County, New Jersey, featuring Ghost Lake and haunted swamp areas. Finally, Bray Road, Elkhorn, Wisconsin, capturing the fearsome beast of Bray Road, a werewolf-like creature.
Breaking news, they have now released the aerial footage of the helicopters over Matthew Perry's home. Take a look. To stay up to date on this case, click the playlist below. I'll keep you guys updated. What do you think? Drop in the comments.
Discord murder story does not sit right with me, bro. I think this happened in 2019. So his name is Menhaz Zaman. So he's an internet troll who every day he spends time in Discord just texting his friends and stuff like that, right? And he sends like racist pictures, gruesome pictures of people, and obviously people are gonna be like, oh, he's just joking or whatever. Right? Until one day he sent a picture of a lady on the floor, and that was his dead mom that day. And fam, let me show you the Discord messages, fam, that he sent.
I want to see because I'm going to cry. I'm sorry I shouldn't have sent you those pics, bro. When you did this, all today, first mom, then granny, then sister, and lady. I was shaking the entire day. And now dad killed, I stopped shaking.
So he killed the whole family, bro.
And poo all the time.
And he's a troll, like obviously he would say that shit at the end. But it's like whenever he killed someone, he updated it on the Discord server so everyone could know that something is going on right now.
What are some of the most important things to you that you would like to pass on to your kids?
Great question. So I want them to be courageous and bold. I want them to be well educated, know how to treat a woman. They practice on their mom. I want them to know how to resolve conflict. I want them to be leaders. I want them to be honest. I don't really care what they do, but I want them to live worthy. The manner in which they live, that's the stuff that I actually care about. And I realize the only possible way I can build that in them is to be it myself. You can teach what you know, but you can only replicate who you are.